what is going on. My laptop's having an absolute mare today, people. So apologies about that. It just had the background noise of the intro playing again. So God knows what the flipping hell was happening there. You lot probably couldn't hear it, but like I say, my laptop's been on one of them today. But yeah, obviously episode 108 of the Hatter Show. And obviously in today's, we're going to do a keep, sell or loan. Obviously a few, signings and stuff like that have been done, but we're going to base it on what we would have went with anyway. And obviously a player, which we'll get into when we get to that player, is obviously extended his time at Luton. But like always, I'm joined with my dad. How are we, Dad?
Yeah, all good, mate. All good. Hope you're good. Everyone's good.
Yep, no, absolutely. But here we are. So like I say, obviously we're doing keep, sell or loan. So like I said, obviously a few deals have been done already, but we'll just base it on what we would have went with anyway. So starting off with Ethan, obviously it's come out. We won't be looking to get him back. I think when you look at it overall, I don't think he was as bad as what certain fans were saying. But I think going forward, he's not quite the answer. Maybe Nottingham Forest saw that. I've been saying that on the last few episodes because, when you think about it, they weren't looking to get him back. When obviously they got Dean Henderson, and they're not really looking to get him back again now, are they? So for me, he was good. Good in moments for us. He had a few, shithousery moments, which we liked. Obviously, annoying the opposition fans and that sort of thing. And he did make some good saves at times. Obviously, he was up there in clean sheets as well. Obviously, part of that's with the defence as well. But going forward, I think we've got new ideas in place as well. If you look at what we're doing, obviously we're looking at X amount of keepers, apparently anyway. So it's one of them. Where I would sell, really. And I'm sure you're the same on that one, Dad. Obviously, he's not our player, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. The thing is, when you look back at the penalties as well, like you got close, but I don't think, most keepers, good keepers, will at least save a penalty during the season. I don't think he saved any. And there's questions over passing back to him and his distribution sometimes. Do you know what I mean? I just don't think it's the full. Not for the Premier League anyway. Definitely not. So yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree, and it links to what I just said. I think Nottingham Forest see that. That's why they, ain't been trying to get him back, in my opinion. Because there's been.
It's not that. It's not really. It's that we see that as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because there's just been no interest, has there? You know what I mean? It wasn't really talked about, during the parade and that. I don't think. Do you know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah. I literally can't even get off my screen at the moment, which is annoying because my camera's just decided to turn off again. But I'll go through the comments for now until it actually decides to sort itself out. Stephen puts big up tight and Dad's big up to yourself, mate. Stephen says a Horvath better out there. Yeah, exactly. That's how I see it. And then Shay reckons after I pick sell, I should say who I'd like to replace him. Yeah, I don't mind doing that. For Ethan.
Oh. Technical issues continue. Be interesting to see what he would have said. Replacing. Well, apparently we're in talks with Begovic. That keeps popping up. But I think he's got a few options, and that's another thing we can be able to compete with certain players because there is other teams out there in the Premier League or even below who can offer more money. So it's ongoing. But for me, it'd be a very good signing. sure he'll be back in a minute. So yeah, if anyone else has got any suggestions, put them in the comments, and we'll see what we can go through that as well. And there's been a few that have been linked with Tom Heaton, I think. Bournemouth keeper. Blackburn keeper. So quite a few, but a lot of it is agents just putting stuff out there. I reckon, to get their player up there.
Gosh. Oh, cheers for that, Dad. Apologies about this, people. My laptop. Oh, honestly, I can't wait to get a new one. It's quite
you know what you got to do.
frustrating, man. Oh, I've just had enough of it. Like, I literally cannot share my screen and can't even talk properly because the camera just likes to turn off. Like, I might as well just do it with no camera at this rate. Oh, it's just jarring. But yeah, what bit did you get up to of what I said about Ethan?
Like, who are we going to replace?
Oh yeah, so obviously Shay said when I have the reason, someone to replace. For me, I would go Begovic. Like I said, I know a lot of Luton fans are not too keen on him, but for me, it'd be good for us. To start off in the Premier League. He's got the experience. And obviously he'd be on a free, wouldn't he? And he's the one we're heavily linked with the most out of all these keepers so far. So I'd probably go with him. I mean, all of the keepers we've been linked with, to be honest, I wouldn't mind any of them. The main sort of ones, Travellers, Heaton, obviously, like I said, Begovic as well, a few others, but I can't remember from the top of my head. So, and I think they're better than Ethan, and they would be, for the experience side of things as well, as we know, because obviously Ethan hasn't played an awful lot in the Prem, and we're not looking at him anyway. So, yeah, that's how I see it. With that, big up to David. He said big up to you and his dad. Big up to yourself, mate. Wouldn't mind a Blackburn keeper, says Stephen. Obviously, we are linked with him as well. He's another one, actually. Jacob, the Blackburn fan, who come on. I did ask him like a little bit, what's his thoughts on him and that. He said he's one of them where he's a good shot stopper, but his distribution's a bit questionable. But again, I don't really look into that because even world-class keepers, their distribution's questionable. You look at Alisson, you look at Edison, so I don't really look at that. And he said he reckons he could play in the Prem anyway. So, based on that, that's from a Blackburn perspective. I think it'd be all right. Obviously, I'd need to see more of him. He wouldn't be my main priority. I'd still, go for like a Begovic or somebody like that. So yeah, do you know much about the Blackburn goalkeeper, Dad?
No, not. I've heard he's quite highly rated, but I haven't really seen much of him from what I can remember. So
yeah, no, fair enough. Chase says maybe Bazunu. Was that the one that was just at Southampton? I think it is, isn't it? And Kelleher would be great. Yeah, that would be very good. Obviously, it looks, but it's interesting to see what will happen with him. Because obviously Liverpool have, kept Adrian, and Kelleher. He's one of them, isn't he? Where he's a very good keeper that shouldn't be on the bench consistently. Obviously, for Liverpool he should, yes, because they've got Alisson. But you know what I mean. So that would be great. I'd be very happy if that happened because I know he's a very good keeper. So yeah, but will it happen? Probably not, because I don't think his wages will be a lot, but I think there'll be more than what people expect, and I think it'll be something to do with that to why we don't get him. Your thoughts on it, Dad?
Yeah, we won't be. Well, I've said this before. So players like that, players that are already playing for Liverpool, they're on at least 40k. Do you know what I mean? And we're not going to be paying that unless it's first choice. And it's first season, I can't see us doing anything like that. We don't need to do that either, because you've got to be very, very careful about bringing in players on that kind of money when you've got the rest of the squad who definitely, they would have got bonuses. Maybe it might have been written into their contracts, but if not, the ones with new contracts will obviously be getting a lot, better money than they've probably ever got at the club. Let's be honest. But I don't know. I spoke to someone at work the other day, and we was talking about it, and they were like, "Oh, what's the lowest wage, at Luton at the moment? 60k." I went, nowhere near. No one's on 60k at Luton.
No
one's even. I don't even think anyone's on 20k. So, yeah. But obviously, you have to up your wages. You've got to do it to a certain level, and then just stay at that. Which we probably will do. But that's why we won't get certain players.
Yeah.
Just won't. And the less they are willing to take a wage cut. You know what I mean? Because some players just have way, way too much money.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it?
They all do, to a certain extent. So it's not going to happen.
Yeah. No, 100%. Big up to Hanno. Did click on it. Is it going to work? There we go. He says, hello, big up to yourself, mate. So, yeah, that's that. But, yeah, try and go back onto this. Right, Amari Bell's the next player. Straightforward, keep. Obviously he's been massive to us this season. Obviously, he was up there highly for our, obviously, player ratings last week. And, he's been very consistent. Most consistent player for me, like I said, especially in the position changes, he's added time. Sometimes he's been left wing back, sometimes he's been left centre back. And he's one of them players for me who has got to prove he's good for the Premier League, and I think he will be. Shout out to him as well. Obviously, he will be playing in the Gold Cup, I think it's called, for Jamaica. So yeah, the first game's tomorrow. So big up to him. But it's a keep all day long, isn't it, Dad?
Yeah, I'm just going to go keep. We've got to be careful, obviously, like when we're going through these, that we're not repeating the same stuff that we said, about where they stood at the end of the season, kind of, what I mean, thing, because we'd just end up being here for ages, sort of thing. But yeah, for me, just keep.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone in the comments saying keep. Yeah, exactly. Moving on to Potts. Now, to be fair, this is one that I would have sold. I'm not going to lie. I've said that thing about him and Bradley. I don't think they're quite it. Going forward, obviously Potts did get given the option to extend. Obviously he hasn't yet, as it stands. So it might still go. I just feel, as much as he has, put on the armband a few times this season, he's been very good. The game I always mentioned was Swansea away. It's just heading everything away. And he has had some solid games, when he's come on and put in a shift, especially in left-sided centre-back. I'm just not sure if he's the answer in that sense going forward. Even if he does extend, he won't be starting a lot of games next season. I'll say that for sure. So I'm going to base it, like I say, it's our opinion. So I'm going to say sell. Are you the same on that, Dad?
Yeah, it's very close. And it all depends if we keep that culture, because that's what we've been doing for the past, 10 years. Bringing certain characters into the club that actually do influence the squad, the whole team, and everything at the same time. Over the years, Hilton, Shinnie, Sheehan, Bradley. Look, we continue to do it, and he's part of that. So I wouldn't be surprised if we took him on for another year and he was happy to play, because you know, he's not going to get another Premier League team. So, but you know, for him, if he wants to play in the Premier League, you know, depends what we've offered him as well. But I would stay if I was him. But if we're not going to guarantee him hardly any football, then he might go, or we might. I think because of his character and his personality, we will be reluctant to tell him to go or let him to go or whatever. So I think there is a chance that he might resign, but I'd have to say so.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like you say, there's a few things there. Like that thing, obviously, he's another player. You know, like you said, that's been there for a while, so they might want to keep that. Obviously, we've seen that we've done that with Berry. Obviously, we'll get a bit more into that when we get to him. But yeah, what do you lot reckon? Shay reckons maybe sell. Stephen says Potts time looks up. And don't forget, you know, obviously the penalty, you know, scored a you know, a massive penalty for us, obviously in the final as well. So he has done bits this season, but there's just certain games where I just feel he's been exposed, and you know, you can see that he's not quite at the level compared to like a Bell, in my opinion, or someone like that, because that's who you're comparing him to, really, isn't it? Because when Potts comes on, he's left centre back, and that's where Bell's been a lot. So yeah. That is that on that. Moving on to the next player, Elijah Keep. You know, obviously, unfortunately, didn't get to double figures. Obviously, that was the thing I was saying when it comes to this season. You know, I hope he does that sort of thing. But he's still, you know, he's still been massive for us. You know, I think the playoffs, like I said, you know, really helped him. You know, the game where he got the goal, which was obviously Sunderland away, the first leg, I think that gave him a lot of confidence. You saw what he done in the final, for example. You know, that was Premier League quality alone. You know, the touch, the skill, etc. So, for me, he's one to definitely keep, in my opinion. Your thoughts, Dad?
Sell. I think we should sell him. No, I'm joking. Yeah, definitely 100% keep. He's looking better and better. Do you know what I mean? You know, he's. I think he believes in himself a lot more, and you can see that, especially over the last couple of games. And he I think he'll thrive in the Premier League, to be honest with you, and get more confident. You know, once he starts nut making people like he does, and he realizes he can do that in the Premier League, he'll try it. He'll pull that off a lot of times. A lot of people won't be expecting him to be as dangerous as he can be. So yeah, 100% keep.
Yeah, absolutely. Shay says Elijah is more of a ball player, play make chance creator. Yeah, he has. Yeah, he has been. Obviously, we saw that in the playoff final. And like I say, you know, he hasn't quite got double figures, but he's still, you know, he's still been massive in games. You know, he's been unlucky at times. To be fair, I remember the amount of times saying, you know, he's unlucky that he didn't maybe get a goal in that game, etc. So it's one of them. And Stephen says, Elijah, no question, no discussion, keep 100%. Yeah, exactly. Keep him, definitely. Now, moving on to the next one, which is Nakamba. Now, obviously, you know, it's apparently 99.9% that we're going to get him back. Rumours flying around last night. A few more's come out today. So it's just a matter of time by the looks of it. Obviously, he was linked to West Brom and we were thinking, nah, what's going on here? You know, we thought it was nailed on for him to come to us. And it does seem like that, you know, after what we've seen in the last 2 days. So we all want him. You know, obviously he was massive for us last season. You know, obviously where we are now, he's a massive part of it. You know, one of the many people that are, you know, part of it. And, you know, he's got that quality. You can see, you know, he'd be guaranteed first team football, as we know. He's a fan favourite for a lot of fans already. So it's it's a we want to keep. So yeah, it's all day long, isn't it, Dad?
Yeah, 100%. And also, I think going forward, we're looking to have, you know, a central defensive kind of midfield player like Nakamba anyway. We've been looking at others as well. Yeah, during the parade, he was the strongest candidate that everyone was going on about to keep, and he spoke about it, things like that. There was a lot of focus on it. So yeah, we probably have to give him quite. This is where the start probably of the bump up of the wages. I'd say he'd probably take a cut, but then he's slightly on that age bracket, isn't he? Where he's getting a bit older, so it depends on the contract and things like that. Because obviously, the older you get, the bigger payday you want. So it is a difficult one, and I think that's the stalling point. But I think we can get it over the line. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's nailed on now, pretty much. Especially like Stephen says here, to be honest, where he did basically say it was always going to be Luton, Nakamba. So it's just nailed on, really, isn't it? In the sense, he's already got, like I say, he's already a fan favourite. You could just see, he loves being here. Through his loan spell last season. So I think it's just written on. So hopefully that'll be announced. Well, I would have thought it'd have been today at 6 p.m, but maybe tomorrow. And obviously, if that's the case, we'll do a video and talk about it. So yeah, there we go with that. Moving on to the next player, Alan Campbell. Now, obviously, because of Nakamba coming in, we haven't quite seen Campbell like how we did the previous season and the previous times. Before Nakamba come in, but I would still keep him. Definitely 100%. When he comes on, he puts on the shift. He always gives 110%. He's always getting stuck in. I'll never forget times like Blackpool away where, proper, northern weather, how it is. Obviously, he is from Scotland anyway, so he's probably used to it. But obviously, the weather was terrible and he was out in shorts, T-shirt. He's just a warrior. Obviously, he's in the background there as well. Obviously, when they've done their player meeting thing. And he's another fan favourite. Quite a lot of people like him because, he always gets stuck in. So for me, I'd keep. Even if he, doesn't play a lot again. Well, not a lot, but, not as much as he has. I would still definitely keep him because I feel he's going to thrive in the Prem. I feel he's another player that will. So keep for me. Your thoughts, Dad?
Yeah, keep him. I definitely. It's a bit unfortunate, he was kind of thriving definitely under Nathan Jones, and then things kind of changed under Rob Edwards for whatever reason. I'm not sure. Maybe he's not their type of player. We'll see, but I think he'd be quite effective in the Premier League because players won't. The way he harries players and stuff like that is brilliant. Do you know what I mean? So it's a step up, and I reckon he can do it. So he's under contract. We'll be keeping him anyway, and be in the first, squad.
Yeah, no, exactly. Stephen says, yeah, agreed. Campbell, the pitbull, stays. Yeah, obviously you always call him that. And then keep Campbell. Yeah, exactly. Moving on to the next player, Sonny Bradley. Obviously, like I said, we know he's gone, but we're basing it on what we would have went with. And we had both, I already know you would have, Dad, because we've had many discussions. Sell, obviously, he's been massive, for us where we are now. He's a massive part of that. Obviously, been a captain for a while for us. Had big moments. Even in the Championship, he had some good games. I remember Middlesbrough when we first came back in, scored a wicked goal. Blackburn, as much as Berry got the goals, he was massive in tidying things up at the back and making us go forward. He's had their moments, but again, similar to Potts for me, where he's been exposed at times this season. Standout one that I can think of was towards the end against Middlesbrough, where obviously his positioning wasn't that great. Obviously, it made Ethan or thought, Ethan thought, yeah, I've got to come out like that now. So he's had a few of them shaky moments, and it was one of them where, a lot of players come in and put in a shift, and we're like, even if they start, obviously it's not first choice, say for example, but like say we were going into the playoffs, we didn't really want him to start because we know he can get exposed sometimes. So yeah, massive shout out to him though, as we know. But yeah, Sell, and I know you're the same on that one, Dad.
Yeah, big up Bradley. But yeah, definitely Sell. I think he had personal problems like this season as well. Like it was kind of like in the background as well. I think that he knew that potentially that his career at Luton was coming to an end anyway. So probably attributed.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Shay's on his other account, so big up for tuning in. And then Stephen just says, "Good luck, Bradley." Yeah, no, absolutely. And I've said it numerous times. Wherever he goes, I think it will be a team in the championship. Whether that's mid-table sort of championship or lower end, it'll definitely do well for them. 100%. Moving on to the next player, Mendes Gomez. Obviously, he was our player on loan, best player on loan, I'd say, last season, without a shadow of a doubt. So he's had a very good season at Fleetwood. Even, before he went out on loan, obviously he scored that wicked goal against Newport that everyone was talking about. Shame about the result, but the goal in that game was brilliant by him. And I think he's got a lot of potential. Obviously, I've said it before, I think he's got everything to his game. He just needs to work on his strength. But I think him being out in League Two in a sense is good because the further down you go, the more physical it is. It's an interesting one with him. I wouldn't sell him, not at all. Because like I said, I think he's got the potential. Would I loan him out again or would I keep him? Do you know what? I'm actually going to say keep. Even if he's on the bench a lot, I'm going to go with keep. Your thoughts on this one, Dad?
Yeah, I'll keep him. He's done well. Fleetwood, League One, not League Two. But yeah, he's done all right there. And,
League One, yeah.
He's got a lot of potential, so he's still quite young. He's still under contract. I can't see us loaning him out. So for me, he's got pace as well. You need pace in the Premier League. So yeah, I'd keep him.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Steven says he would go loan to a championship team. I do hear that, because obviously, get him loaned out to, a better side, even though Fleetwood are a good side, obviously, a championship side, that makes sense. So yeah, there we go. But then again, Shay's saying Stephen may be loaned to a Premier League team. So obviously that's interesting with who, but it's one of them. You could debate keep or loan. For me, is the main two, of course. Moving on to the next player, which is Shay. Obviously, got that unfortunate injury, so obviously he didn't play at all, except in the development squad last season. It's an interesting one. Again, it's another one or two ways for me. It's loan or sell. The reason I say sell is because we've brought Walton in. So I think going forward, Walton's going to be the backup. And obviously, we're looking at a certain amount of keepers now, to obviously be a starter in the Premier League. So it's an interesting one. I'm going to say loan. Maybe it's like a championship club. But yeah, like I said, I just can't see him playing, next season. Like I say, especially with us looking at keepers as it is. Walton is coming, so that tells me he's the backup. Obviously, I haven't seen any of Walton, but he is going to be the backup. Let's be serious. So I would loan Shay, and then I'd probably give it an option to buy, depending on where he goes. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it. Yours, Dad?
Yeah, exactly the same. We'll obviously looking to sign probably at least two keepers, and you know, it wouldn't be fair for him to sit. So, and he's still, you know, a Luton, you know, he's part of that squad, you know, that clique kind of thing. And I think it's quite important. So, but yeah, I could see it. I'd probably loan him out, yeah. And obviously, unless we only sign one keeper, but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, no, I agree. Especially with how many we're being linked with. But yeah, Stephen says Shay sell. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. For me, it's loan or sell. But like I say, I think what will potentially happen is he'll get loaned out, and then it could be an option to buy, but depending on how he does, sort of thing. Moving on to the next player, Lockyer. Do I even need to explain? Keep all day long. Obviously, he got player of the season by us. See, by a lot of others as well. He's just solid, isn't he? Obviously, he's starting to get more noticed. Obviously, he's been training early with Morris. Saw that the other day. It's obviously good to see. But he's just phenomenal. You know, other people are starting to realise that he's a good player. So I don't really need to explain it. It's just keep all day long, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, 100%. So nothing else to say really at this point. You know what I mean? It's
no,
obvious.
exactly. I was trying to go on and say stuff, but you lot know he's just. Sometimes you just don't need to explain. You know what I mean? So it's one of them. Moving on to the next player. Now, this is an interesting one. Musgrave. Now, I always say it with him. He had that unfortunate, moment against Blackpool, where obviously if his goal stood, it would have been massive. Playoffs would have been confirmed. And obviously the goal should have stood, but it didn't. And that, would have kicked on his Luton career. He's had a lot of heat by fans. I think a lot of the heat is harsh, to be honest. But yeah, it hasn't really worked out. Unfortunately. You're even seeing Taylor since he's come in. He's already been ahead of him. So maybe Musgrave's not doing something right in training, maybe because he's just not really getting a glimpse. You see him on the bench a few times, but he's not really coming on. So for me, I'm going to have to go sell. I'm not going to lie. Your thoughts, Dad?
Yeah, sell. I think he's been told already, or probably a while ago, maybe, that it's not going to be in the plans going forward. I still think there's a player in there somewhere. I've heard that Barnsley potentially be looking at him as well. So yeah, I think that's probably the right choice. It makes sense, especially now being in the Premier League. Like, he hasn't been utilised. Would you bring him on, bang him on in the Premier League? I think we'll be looking to when players haven't really done it, and you can go out and get another player who has done it and has got certain levels, you're going to go and do that. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, sell.
Yeah, exactly. Steve says lots irreplaceable keep. Exactly. Based on how he was last season. Exactly that. Musgrave loan option to buy, says Stephen. So he's gone with what we've gone with for Shay for Musgrave. So that's fair enough. Moving on to the next player, Matt Macy. I'm not going to lie, sell all day long. No offence. In that Newport game, I thought it was terrible. I think it was their third goal. The way he's parried it out to him is not good enough. Obviously when he come back in, we was thinking, okay, he seems like he's improved a little bit. Obviously, he was at Luton before, and it weren't great then either. So yeah, there's not really too much else I need to say. Obviously, he's been loaned out. Obviously to Portsmouth. Done very well there by the sounds of it. What their fans are saying. So yeah, and definitely now in the Prem. No, that's a no-go for me. So, yeah, sell all day long. And your thoughts on it, Dad?
Yeah, 100% agree. Not quite at that level. Probably needs to consistently. Sometimes what happens with players, they need to consistently play and then go for something like in the League One or whatever. And you can see that then they're doing well. But for us, they don't get enough games So that's why they don't do anything really. And then potentially they can build themselves up and get to a better level. But at the moment, yeah, no chance.
Yeah. Stevens put Macy own category. I'll pay for some club to take him. I mean, I was happy when I saw Portsmouth were quite eager to get him. You know, I'm not going to lie, but yeah, that's enough said on that one. Moving on to the next player, Elliot Thorpe. Now, this is an interesting one for me. Obviously, he got loaned out at Burton. They played him a few times, and then they just, he didn't really play. Then he come back. Obviously, I think the only game he actually played for us since he come back was that Grimsby game. Obviously, you saw, wasn't great, but it wasn't just him. It's like, I think, Rob Edwards got it wrong. The whole team were just terrible that day. But it's an interesting one with him because, again, I think the potential's there from what I have seen from him, previously. I would say loan. With Elliot Thorpe. You've seen him on the bench a few times, but he hasn't, like I said, he hasn't come on. The only game I can think of him playing since he come back was that Grimsby game. So I'm going to say loan to probably a championship team / high-end League One, I would say, with him. But your thoughts on it, Dad?
Yeah, I agree. Just don't think, again, he hasn't had enough team cohesion. Yeah, he's a good player. I feel he could be on the fringes. I wouldn't be surprised if we did keep him, but I'd say potentially, yeah, loan. Championship team, loan.
Yeah, championship team, ideally, of course, definitely. Shay says, Thorpe, keep or loan? Yeah, I was debating between them, but I'll go loan. And then Stephen says, loan mid-championship team. Yeah, okay, so yeah. I reckon same as me and you, of course. So yeah, moving on to the next player. We all know what it is. Again, this one don't really need explaining. Pelly Ruddock, keep. One, because of the story, of course. He's been with us since the conference. Two, because obviously you put him in exceptional, for our player, ratings for the season, because he just really stepped up. I've seen a few people this week say, "Oh, I don't quite think he's, Prem quality, rare tear." But again, a lot of people said that of him with Championship. Obviously, I know Premier League and Championship's different, but don't underestimate him. That's what I'm going to say, especially under Rob Edwards. I've always put him there for, most improved player under him. So for me, it's a keep, mainly because of the story, but them other reasons as well. Your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, my thoughts, right? Keep, obviously not even for the story because he's like Mr. Luton Town, like he's part, but what I will say is that, that is going to eventually change and there'll be new Pelly Ruddocks, yeah, basically. Not writing him off, but and I think he hopefully he will sign, probably become one of the highest paid Luton players we've had. But deep down, I think this is he's not Premier League. Do you know what I mean? That's what I think.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Oh yeah, I think next season he'll be on the bench a lot.
He's got a lot of qualities, physical and that, but that little extra bit that you need, man. So, look at Nakamba, bang, you can see it straight away. Things like that. People, that's what Ethan hasn't got either. You know what I'm saying? But overall, definitely keep. He deserves to be there. He'll be a massive help regardless. All depends on the length of the contract, and obviously he hasn't re-signed, has he? So we'll see.
No. Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm expecting keeps, but let's have a look anyway. Shay says Pelly keep, yeah. Shay also says, Ty, I don't actually think I can picture Ruddock wearing a different club shirt. No, I can't at this current moment in time. Steve says, Ruddock, the legend, the man, Luton through and through, keep all day, every day. Exactly. So, yeah, There we go with that. Love that we are going to keep most of our players. We won't be relegated next season, mid-table, in a cup run, because that's traditionally what we do. Yeah, obviously I'll do my Premier League table predictions a bit later on, when all the business is done and that. But I've said it, I think a lot of people are underestimating us, to be honest. And obviously depending on who we get in the cup competitions to start off with, then it would be decent. Obviously, we won't get knocked out in round one in the League Cup, because we'll actually be in round two. So, depending on who we get on that, we could have a decent run in that. But yeah, mid-table will be very happy with that. Very happy with that, because we all know, obviously, our aim is to stay out. If you don't think that, then you're a bit delusional, So just progress on that sort of thing. But yeah, anything you want to say on this comment, Dad?
Yeah, that that'd be ideal, but we don't want to be too because there will be some tough games in there, and it's going to test us massively. But yeah, it's good that we're going to keep most of the players. I'm sure. I think what's delaying it a little bit as well is we'd have had a list of targets, and I don't know how ahead we would have been with actually dealing with when you're in the Premier League. It's a lot different. Agents are floating around, rumours, people that spies are everywhere. They know more what's going on. So we probably have been linked with a couple of these players that have been talked about. So it's and then other teams come in, and it's harder to do business, I reckon. So we're kind of probably trying to balance that a little bit. Obviously, we've still got the opportunity to sign the Canberra and Draymond because they ain't signed for anyone else. Don't forget, we were sort of saying about Jack Stacey, and then straight away, Bosch, he signed for Norwich. Do you know what I mean? So obviously, we probably wasn't looking at him maybe anyway. But if the Campbell was going to go somewhere else, he would have gone somewhere else. Do you know what I'm saying? Because he's a very decent player. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. Definitely. On that, Shay's prediction for us says, I reckon the lowest we get is 17th, which obviously means we stay up. And then the highest we get is 13th. Yeah, imagine that. That'd be incredible. But obviously, we'll see. We will see. But yeah, going on to the next player, Louis Watson. Obviously, he come in, had a few decent games. A standout game for me was Wigan in the FA Cup. Again, he's another player where I think he's got a lot of potential. Obviously, he played in that Grimsby game, so it wasn't, great from him and obviously everyone else in that game. And then after that, we just didn't really see him. Saw him I think we saw him on the bench a few times, but didn't really see him come on or play games or anything. So again, it's another one same with Elliot Thorpe, where I'm going to go with a loan for him again to another Championship club to get that experience in games under his belt. So yeah, that's what I reckon for Watson. Your thoughts on that one, Dad?
Yeah, exactly the same.
Same reasoning as well.
Yeah, everything's the same.
Yeah, exactly that. Steve says Watson loan maybe even abroad help his development. I mean, potentially, yeah, that would be good for him. Obviously, you see that it does help players. That go from obviously he's Irish, but players from this sort of bit. They go out and they do well, and it helps them, and they come back better. So it could be. Shay says loan to Barnsley, Wednesday, or Huddersfield or Coventry. Yeah, potentially one of them, maybe Barnsley. I could see that. Sheffield Wednesday, but we'll see. I'll definitely loan him out though. Moving on to the next player, Osho. again, doesn't really need much explaining for me. Keep. He's been brilliant this season. It's been hard to throw him out the team, especially towards the later stages of the season. You know, scored some vital goals. Obviously, the Watford game, Sunderland second leg. You know, and he didn't start off great, I would say. You know, obviously the Watford game originally away, obviously he got sent off. You know, and obviously it was, you know, I remember I was questioning what is his best position. But then, you know, he just had a moment where he was just phenomenal and he just kicked on. And yeah, he's definitely a player that we should be keeping. And yeah, that's all I'm really going to say on that one. But I'm sure you're the same on Osho, Dad.
Yeah, I agree. Let's hope he signs that contract.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, he's another one that hasn't quite signed it yet, but I believe he will. You know, he's another player I can tell from his interview who really likes being at this club. So I think he'll more than likely extend. Moving on to the next player. Now, this is interesting, and I already know it's going to be an interesting one in the comments. And that is obviously Fred. I don't know with Fred. I don't know with Fred thinking about it because, you know, obviously when he has come on, he hasn't played in his main positions. You know, a few times he's come on up front, most times he's come on as a right wing back. He's been okay, but he hasn't been overly great. It's an interesting one. For me, this could literally be any of the three. I'm not going to lie with Fred. Again, I think there is a good player there, but I just don't know if he can cut it in the Premier League. That's the thing. I'm going to go... Oh, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure with Fred. It's a difficult one. It's any of the three. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to go loan. I'm going to go loan to a championship side. So, yeah, that's what I reckon. Your thoughts on Fred, though?
Sell. Don't think he's.
Yeah?
I don't think he's one that's similar to you know, maybe Musgrave. Obviously, he's done better than Musgrave, but the elevation, the Premier League. I just think that again, we need to, if we can get someone better in, we're gonna do that. So I'd say sell.
That's fair enough. Shay says loan to Sunderland or Norwich or Cov. Fair enough. Stephen, obviously not one of Fred's biggest fans, as we know, has gone sell in capitals with exclamation marks. Yeah, he hasn't been as good as I thought he would have been. Like, you know, like I said, he hasn't played in his main position, but at the same time, I just don't know if he can cut it in the Prem. So I'll say loan, and then, you know, it's similar to Shay where it could be an option to buy, depending on how he does. Next player, Glenn Ray. You know, obviously hasn't been the same since that injury. I think this is an obvious one. Obviously, he was at Cheltenham. Didn't do too bad from what I saw. I did watch, you know, I said it, I think in the last episode, I did watch when they played Sheffield Wednesday, and he was up against Bannon. He was obviously a very good player, as we know, and he done decent against him, to be fair. But I just think, you know, when it comes to Premier League, no way is this guy that guy. So for me, it's a sell all day long, especially if Nakamba, you know, us looking at him, his levels better. You know, let's be serious. So for me, it is a sell all day long with Glenn Ray, and yeah, I don't think there's anything else to really say on it. Like I said, maybe he could have been a different player if he didn't have that, you know, injury. Like he could have maybe been, you know, saying, yeah, let's maybe keep him or at least put him out on loan. But for me, it's a sell now. It really is. And yeah, your thoughts on Glenn Ray, Dad?
Yeah, I agree. He had that good game against Hull, I think it was. But yeah, another player who hasn't really featured much. He's not part of this you know, this sort of story really. So yeah, sell.
Yeah. Absolutely. Moving on to the next player, obviously he has gone, and that is Lansbury. What would I have done? I would have sold him anyway. I'm not going to lie. And the reason I say it is I think he's a good player. He's had some good moments for us this season. Obviously that goal against Hull. But, you look at it, if we was to sign this guy a couple of years ago, we'd have been buzzing because, he's had the experience, he's been around, he's a good player. But he just didn't really start, did he? There was even games away from home where, we would set up, not necessarily more defensively, but we would not be on the front foot as much. And I thought he would play in them games, but he wouldn't. So I think it was just one of them where it was nailed on that he was always going to go. But yeah, best of luck to him. Obviously he's had his shit Shithousery moment against Swansea, which was obviously funny, and that's where we got the chance. So best of luck to him, wherever he goes. But sell for me. And obviously he has gone anyway. But would you have sold him as well, Dad?
Yeah, definitely.
There you go. Straightforward. With that one, Lansbury, shame about injury. Sell. Yeah, you also had that, didn't he, as well, Stephen? Which obviously didn't really help. Maybe he'd have played more. So it's fair enough. With that, moving on to the next player, Isted. Again, he's a player that's been linked to go other places. What I'm seeing he's been heavily linked with, or who should I say, is Charlton. Obviously, he was on loan at Barnsley. Played very well in the playoff final. Made two really good saves. But again, I think it's one of them where Luton, similar to Nottingham Forest with Ethan, where they can see something that we haven't quite seen yet. Because obviously everyone was saying, at times start him a lot more. He should be starting a lot more. I don't know. Clearly, he's not quite there, and especially now that we're in the Premier League, I don't think he is at all. And yeah, sell for me, and he'll be gone anyway because of the amount of teams he's being rumoured with. Obviously, to go back to Barnsley, Charlton, and I'm sure a few others will go in as well and have a look. So he's a good keeper, but not now that we're in the Premier League. Not for me. So yeah, again, massive shout out to him though. Been at Luton for a while, but yeah. Your thoughts on Isted?
Yeah, definitely sell. Not at the level, and we've moved on. So yeah, sell.
Yeah, exactly with that. Moving on to Joe Taylor. Now, this one's interesting. I definitely wouldn't sell him. Obviously, we only got him recently anyway. It's an interesting one. Obviously, scored 2 goals in the playoffs. Obviously, only one, unfortunately, counted. The penalty was brilliant. Found out earlier, I think that was his first penalty as well. That he's took from what I heard from Luke Berry earlier. So that was interesting. And yeah, he's definitely got potential. You can see it. He had a few games towards the later stages of the season where he's unlucky, especially Middlesbrough. Very unlucky. 2 very good chances in that game, unlucky not to score. Player final, he was brilliant when he come on. Do you know what? With Taylor? I'm going to say loan to a championship team, but I wouldn't be disappointed if we kept him on the bench. But I just feel loan him out, get him, that game time, and he could be a proper threat for us the season after. So I'm going to go loan for him. But I wouldn't be surprised if people say keep. Your thoughts on this one, Dad?
Currently, it all depends who we sign. If we sign strikers and stuff. But if we do, then yeah, we probably would loan him out. But if not, then I'm happy to keep him. I think he could thrive in the Premier League, to be honest with you. I think a lot of people are going to be surprised by this lad when he gets going. So yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Chaser Taylor loan to Peterborough, isn't that where we got him from? I mean, you have seen that though with obviously McAtee, for example. So it could happen, but I don't know. For me, I would be trying to loan him to a championship team, see what he does there. But I would, like I said, I wouldn't be disappointed if we kept him. I think he's you can just see that he's got something about him, and obviously that's what Mick Harford saw to get us to get him. So it's one of them. Taylor is young, so we must keep him around Kenilworth Road. Yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Stephen says keep but loan depending on signings. Yeah, that's sort of how I am. That's sort of how I am on it with that one as well. Moving on to the next player, Reece Burke. I'm just going to go straight up. Keep. Obviously, Osho's been brilliant. So obviously, he's been ahead of Burke. Obviously, Burke's had a few injuries as well. But he still had some good moments this season. You can see that he's definitely a good player. Standout games that I can think of. Huddersfield away, getting a winning goal. The playoff final, that's the main one because, just how good he was when Lockyer come off. Just really stepped it up. Not even that he had to step it up from previous times. It's just, obviously Lockyer, we were, worried. One, because obviously what happened, and two, how key he's been for us. But Burke was just exceptional. It was like another Lockyer on the pitch, So it's a keep all day long. Even when we have played Premier League teams, the only Premier League team he's came up against for us is Chelsea. Obviously, he scored in that game, first, corner of the game. So I think he could be a massive part of next season, really. So keep all day long for me. Your thoughts on Burke, Dad?
Yeah, 100% keep. If anyone, I think he's got potential to be our best defender next season. I think he's going to do well in the Premier League. He's got a hell of a lot to his game as well. And I think he's confident and he'll probably showcase that. So, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, fair enough. But keep, says Stephen. Yeah, exactly. Moving on to the next player, Freeman. I don't actually know what's going on with Freeman. I don't actually know if he's still at Luton in obviously in the official run without our opinions. But I'd say sell anyway. He hasn't lived up to what I thought he would have in a Luton shirt. A lot of games, obviously, I know he's had injuries and that, but even games he was playing, he was trying to do too much in games. In a way, I'm not saying he was trying to do this, but this is how it looked and how it felt. Because he was trying to do too much at times, he was trying to be too much of the hero, sort of in that sense. That's how it felt to me a lot of times. And again, it's another one, we signed him. We were buzzing because, again, an experienced player, fairly big name. But, yeah, it's one of them now where he just didn't live up to it. So sell for me. So, yeah, your thoughts on this one, though?
Yeah, sell on the cheap. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. Stephen says Freeman, yeah, sell. Sell flop. Yeah, you could say it is a flop, mate. Says Shay. I'll definitely agree on that. 100%, mate. Moving on to the next one, McAtee. Now, this is interesting because obviously he did get loaned back out to Grimsby. We're in the Premier League now. I don't think he could play in the Premier right now, to be honest. It's a weird one because of this striker situation. Obviously, we've got Woodrow, we've got Taylor anyway. Obviously, they don't start. It's obviously always Elijah and Morris most of the time. Sometimes it is Woodrow, but, obviously, mainly it's Elijah and Morris. So that's already two strikers there. It's an interesting one. I'll say loan again. But this time, he needs to go to a higher club. For me, like a champion again, another player, championship sort of team. Obviously, I know he's highly respected and highly liked at Grimsby. Hence why I went back there, which made sense. But I think going forward, he needs to get loaned out somewhere else because I do think he's got potential, and there is a reason we did sign him. I feel, so I'll go with loan for him. Another loan. Yeah, your thoughts on this one, Dad?
Yeah, loan League One team.
League One, fair enough. On that, loan to Championship team, yeah, same as me. Says I was about to say, says McAtee, says Shay. Lone League One or even Championship low end. Yeah. That's fair enough, Stephen. That's fair enough. Big up to Billy. Long time no see, mate. He says, evening. Big up to yourself, mate. So yeah. Y2 Burks. Yeah, I just realised that there's 2 Reece Burks. Obviously, we won't do him again. Piera. Again, this is a weird one because he started off pre-season very good. We was thinking, yeah, do you know what? He could be on the bench a lot for us. But obviously, it didn't happen. He went out on loan to Bradford. I think he played the first few games maybe, and then he just didn't play really at all. And I don't know. I'm not going to lie. I think this could be similar to Morel, where I think he's got a bit of an attitude problem, to be honest. So, and with the striker situations anyway, like I say, even with McAtee, right? Taylor, Woodrow, obviously Adebayo and Morris, that's 4 strikers already. I'm going to go sell. If you're not even starting for Bradford, then it's not looking good, Brad. You know what I mean? So, yeah, sell for me.
I'm going to say we've got Mendes, Gomez. I'm going to say...
And Mendes, Gomez, yeah.
You're probably right. I think it is a bit of attitude. And I don't think, regardless of even that was sorted, he's not getting in the first team. So I think we're going to end up selling him there.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing for me. Where was I in the comments? Dion maybe sell, says Stephen. Yeah, fair enough. Same as us. Billy says, I'm not particularly liking this warm weather. Better than the cold, though. Yeah, it's true. It's what we like in the UK, though, isn't we? We moan when it's cold, and then when it's hot, we're still moaning, shall we? But yeah, it is a bit very lot of times, you know what I mean? Piera and McAtee sell. They can't be player of the season in League 2. Yeah, I hear that. I do hear that. So yeah, there we go with that. But yeah, moving on to the next player, Woodrow. Now, this is an interesting one. Obviously, it was a couple of days ago that he was, he's been back at Luton for a year. He's had his moments last season, like we said. Obviously, Norwich, scored a good goal there. Obviously, the winning goal as well. Wigan in the FA Cup away. I can't remember if he scored the winning. No, it was Elijah, wasn't it? He scored the first goal. But, scored a good goal there as well. He's had his moments. He hasn't lived up to quite what we thought, but he hasn't been terrible. But it's 1 or 2 ways for me, for him. He's keep or loan. But I'm going to keep him because I've loaned out Taylor. And obviously, like I say, Elijah and Morris will start still. And you've got to have that cover on the bench. And, Rob Edwards is always highly praised Woodrow, saying about how good his finishing is and that sort of thing. And that could be vital, to us next season when he comes on at times, because I still think he'll be on the bench a lot. He might start a few, in the cup games, he'll probably start a few, but yeah, I'll say keep. Your thoughts on this one, though?
Yeah, keep. I think he's the only striker we've got that's got Premier League experience. So yeah, 100% keep. Hopefully he can fight for that, one of them striker positions.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Excited for Luton to play their first Prem game. Yeah, obviously we spoke about it. It's going to be a good test. Obviously we say we're moving in a similar direction to Brighton, in a sense, with recruitment and just the way we're sort of sneaky about it in that sense. On the rise. And obviously they're a European team now, so it's going to be a good game, man, that's for sure. So yeah, that's going to be good. And Shay says T Aspilicueta confirmed. Yeah, about time he left Chelsea, mate. After that Arsenal game, I don't know how he was still there, to be honest. But yeah, moving on to the next player, Clark. It's a keep for me. Player final, he was exceptional. Really stepped up from his performance in the second leg against Sunderland. Like I say, it's mad to think we got this guy for free. How consistent he is most of the time, pretty much all the time. You know, and I think he's a player, you know, certain Premier League teams will struggle when coming up against him because, you know, he's quick, you know, he's good on the ball and he's got good footwork. So I would say keep definitely, you know, especially in that cam role for sure. So, yeah, your thoughts on this one, Dad?
Yeah, keep. I just want to see how well he does in the Premier League. And yeah, keep.
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly that. Moving on to the next player, Morris. Again, don't need to say anything really. Keep top scorer for us last season. Obviously, our record signing. You know, and again, you know, when you know you look at stuff like when obviously we spoke about the Prem now. Obviously, they show a player from each team. He's the player we shown. You know, so obviously he's a standout alongside Lockyer, really. So it's a keep all day long. There's no point even asking you on this one. So there you go there. And then moving on to Dre, mate. Now, this one's an interesting one. You know, I've said it, you know, the numerous amount of weeks now. I don't think we'll get him back. But, you know, I would be happy if we did. I just don't think we will because of the other teams being linked with him. You know, your Brentfords, your Burnleys. I don't think we will get him. So I'm just basing it on that. And you know, I do think there's a few other right backs we could get, to be honest. So I'm gonna say sell because I don't think we will end up getting him anyway. You know, we're not being rumoured with him. You know, getting him back like we are to Nakamba in the last few days either. So I'll say sell in that sense. Obviously, he was alone, but yeah. Your thoughts on this one, Dad?
Yeah, I think you're right. Ideally, I would like to say keep, but I think it's looking unlikely, and we'll probably be looking at other options maybe as well. And we need to, but interestingly, we haven't been linked with any other right back, so I don't know. I'm going to say he's going to get a better offer, so just give it a sell.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly that. Stephen says Morris keep. Enough said. Exactly that. Dre may buy at any cost. I mean, like I said, Stephen, I'll be very happy to buy him. I just don't think we will. I just think, you know, like me and my dad said, a better offer will come in for him, like a Burnley or Brentford. So, yeah, that's that. Moving on to the next player, which is Berry. Obviously, it's come out today. He's extended. Big up to him. Obviously, you know, he's a player I would have kept anyway. You know, I think he can be vital in games, especially when he comes on. You know, you look at Blackburn, you know, a couple of seasons ago, Blackpool away, scored a winning goal. Millwall got us a vital point at home. So he's definitely got that capability. Again, he's another player who's been at the squad in the team for, you know, a while. You know, so again, he's another one of them, you know, core players. So very happy that he's extended. And yeah, I would have kept him all day long anyway. Your thoughts on this one, Dad?
Yeah, I like Berry. I think he's got a lot of ability. You know, he's very clever, and he's a big part of the squad. So yeah, it's good that he's signed. Yeah, definitely keep.
Yeah, fair enough. However, Stephen, on the other hand, you said Berry, not for me. Sell, step too far. Interesting. You know, like I say, for me, I think he can do a job. You know, a good job coming on and doing well there. You know, I think even when we played Chelsea in the FA Cup, he was pretty good in that game as well, from what I can remember. So I think he can at least give him a year. I'd say, in my opinion, see what he can do, and then go from there on it. I don't know how long the extension was. I think it was only a year, actually, wasn't it?
I'm not sure, but
so yeah, just if it is a year, then just see what happens after, really. So yeah, there's that. Dre May was quality, but we still don't have the budget as some Championship clubs have. Yeah, there is that. Big up to Billy, says going to head out. Hope you have a good one, lads, and chat. Yep, and yourself, mate. Good to see you. Good to see you back in the chat. And yeah, man, same goes. Same goes to you. Moving on to the next player. We've only got 3 more players now. Walton is the next player. Now, obviously, I said earlier, I think he will be our second choice, next season. Maybe our third, if we get 2 goalkeepers in. Obviously, it would make sense if we wanted to get more goalkeepers in because of our luck with goalkeepers. Obviously, we had to get emergency loans and ridiculousness like that. Obviously, loans we've had over the past, I've had unlucky injuries. Shay, obviously, as we know, obviously, Steer did have an injury as well. So it's one of them, but I definitely keep Walton. As much as I haven't seen any of him, we brought him in not too long ago. So keep for me when it comes to Walton. And hopefully at some point we'll get to see a bit of him and what he's like. So we'll see, man. We will see with him. But yeah, it's interesting what will happen in the sense, well, will he be the third choice or the second choice? Like I say, it makes sense, if we bring 2 keepers in, because I don't think Shay's going to play anytime soon. Even as, a second choice of some people, I just can't see it. So yeah, that's what I reckon. That's what I reckon when it comes to Walton there. So yeah, Stephen says, well, Walton is staying, hoping we get 2 experienced goalies in before turning to him. Oh yeah, of course. Obviously the keepers we're looking at now is to be a starter. And Begovic is the main one, like I say, and yeah, another one that makes sense. Due to our luck with goalkeepers, like I said, anyway. So I'll definitely keep him though. Much as I haven't seen him, then got him too long ago. So yeah, your thoughts, Dad?
Yeah, definitely keep. We've obviously signed him, anticipating early. We obviously think he's got potential for the Premier League. So I wouldn't be surprised if he is second choice keeper. I do feel that we're looking to get someone with experience, though, who's going to start, Begovic, that kind of player. But I think he will be on the bench, Walton. So yeah, definitely keep.
Yeah, exactly that. And then moving on to Doherty, keep, obviously massive part of last season. He was huge under Robert Edwards. Obviously, a lot of players were, but he was a standout for me. You've got to bear in mind with him as well, he's playing left wing back, which weren't his main position. Sometimes he's playing right wing back as well. And yeah, just very good for us. Very good for us. Obviously, have memorable moments. Goal against QPR, which actually did get goal of the season. So yeah, keep all day long for me. He could be massive. And again, it's one of the. He was the player, wasn't it, where we played West Ham last season in that friendly, and you can just see that he's got it. Me and my dad was saying that when he was up against Johnson, who's a good player, good young player for West Ham. Obviously, he doesn't really start as much as he used to, but he's still a very good player. So, and he done really well up against him. So, yeah, keep all day long, and I'm sure you're the same on that, Dad.
Yeah, 100%. He's going to cause problems in the Premier League, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And then moving on to the last player, which is Pebble, obviously Canadian. He's out in Canada. We have seen him training with the team. Obviously, he was celebrating with the players in the playoff final and all that. So, based on what I've seen, I haven't really seen too much. Obviously, he was loaned out at Grimsby, but he just didn't really play. But I reckon he'll be loaned out again. Again, I remember when we signed him, we were saying it could be a gem on our hands. So we'll see, man. We'll see what goes on with him, but I reckon we'll loan him out. But this time we'll loan him out to a higher team. So yeah, loan for me on the final one. Your thoughts on this one, Dad?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think he has got potential. Didn't really, work at Grimsby, but he knows he's got to step up, and he's still young. And I think they'll test him though, and they'll put him in the League One. maybe Fleetwood or someone like that. But yeah, loan.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Steve says, Doherty, keep no doubt. I don't know if I read that, so I'll just read it out again if I didn't. And then he says, Pebble need a loan, a high League One promotion team. Yeah, exactly. Someone like that, I'd agree. Or maybe a low-end championship, but he definitely needs a step up from Grimsby in that sense. So there you go. What I'm going to do this time, though, because it'll be easier for me to post on social media and all of that to the people that missed it, I'm going to save it now because you can have the option to save it. So then I'll just put it out like that. But yeah, there you go. There is the keep loan sell from the Luton squad for this season just gone. So we're keeping a lot of players, which is good. You know, obviously we've got a lot of faith, you know, based on that as well, because we are going into a tough league, as we know, the Premier League. And we think a lot of them have got it, you know. And I remember saying, we've had many conversations this season, Dad, you know, do we think this player can do it in the Premier League? And we think a lot of them can. So that's a good sign. And it's obviously good to see that, you know, we're not being nice on players. And just because they've been at the club for a while, you know, it's not their time to go in that sense. So, yeah, that's all I've got to say on it. But, yeah. Any final things you'd like to say, Dad?
No, this signings in the door, contracts done. You know, new kit out. it's annoying. It's frustrating now. You know, we need to be signing players and see what we're going to be doing because we definitely need to do that. But I'm sure it's all under control. But it's just when you're having that season in the Premier League, I feel a bit more apprehensive. Do you know what I mean? Like we need to be doing stuff.
Yeah, I hear that definitely. And we tend to do our business early as well. Obviously, we know we've got the stadium situation going on as well. So, you know, that will play a part. But, yeah, I hear what you mean. And the kids, we just want to see what it looks like. I remember last season it took quite a while as well, didn't it? But it'll be good when that comes out, especially, like I say, for me, I'm looking forward to the sleeve. It's going to be nice with that. But, yeah, I think that's everything. You know, I want to say, obviously, on this one, obviously, just to keep Sale alone and obviously briefly talk about Berry extending. But yeah, obviously, next Hatter show will obviously be next Friday, or it should be anyway. And if there's any signings, we'll get into it there. Obviously, if there's any breaking, you know, signings that come out, like Nakamba being announced, I'll probably do a video on it and just talk about it, and then obviously that sort of thing, and then, you know, get your thoughts on the next Hatter show and that sort of thing. Same if there's any other players, you know, I'll try and do videos as soon as possible, really. But other than that, not really too sure on content, to be honest. So, yeah, because it is that stage of you know, football where it's just transfers. So, yeah, man. But that is that. Big up to everyone that's tuned in. We are currently on 10 likes, so big up to yourselves. I know a few people watch us back on playback as well. Big up to everyone that watched the last Hatter show. I know it was a very long one, but I think it was our most viewed Hatter show in the end. It got over 200 views. So big up to yourselves for that. And yeah, smash a like if you haven't already. As for new subscribers, I know we gained another one the other day. So big up to yourself for that. And yeah, 2 new subscribers in this stream as well. So appreciate that. Obviously, we're getting closer slowly to the next target, which is obviously 2,000. And then progress from there on in. So yeah, subscribe if you haven't already. Turn on notification bell. Do check out the other channel as well. Link to that is in the description. T-Boys TV Extra. I've been posting shorts of, you know, us talking about stuff on here, watch along highlights, that sort of thing. So do check them out. Subscribe, check all of them out. And yeah, if you want to follow me across any of my socials, link to them are in the description as well. And yeah, next Luton show next week. But yeah, like I say, if there's any breaking news, I will do a video and react or stream. So yeah, until next time, big up yourselves, take care, and peace. Luton.